Chris, it's the last Eurogamer Show of 2015.
That sounds really dramatic. How long a break are we taking for the Eurogamer Show?
Like a couple of weeks.
So it's not the next 2 episodes won't be a thing.
No.
Okay. All right. That is quite dramatic then. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, with that in mind, I thought it'd be nice for us to each run down our 5 highlights of 2015, specifically in reference to video games.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Do you want me to kick off?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, so we're gonna alternate.
Yes, let's do one on one.
All right. In no particular order.
Okay.
I think you have to say this. And also, before the comments start, these are our personal highlights. You know, you've got your own. That's cool. But I've got a really safe one to start with, actually. The Sony E3 conference this year was just a delight to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It was so silly. It kicked off with The Last Guardian, and everyone kind of lost their mind.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, this is already such a big deal. Like we weren't sure if this game was ever gonna be a real thing. We weren't sure if the development was even continuing at the moment. And it's like, oh shit, it's like
here it is. Yeah.
It's happening. And that's how they started. And then we saw Final Fantasy VII, the remake, and like there were about 4,000 reaction videos showing how people feel about that.
Yeah.
And then Shenmue, and it was like the fact that all 3 happened in one show. I don't think there's ever going to be an E3 conference with as much pizzazz as that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like they just got in a room and went, how are we going to fulfill a childhood dream of every single person in the audience?
It's like, listen,
Let's
guys, we actually haven't got any games to release this year, so let's just make sure everyone's really, really happy about what's coming later down the line.
I mean, that's the thing. It was a very vaporware conference, but at the same time, it was
like the best freaking thing. As a conference to watch, as a spectacle, definitely a highlight.
Well, I was there, and you know, it's a slightly snobbish thing, but you know, like the British media, when they go to E3 conferences, they don't applaud and whoop and cheer like other people do. But when the Shenmue music started and those petals started to come down, I made a weird like choking noise, like I might cry.
That's excellent.
That was weird. I did cry while filming. This is my first highlight.
Okay.
Just to go into
nice.
that.
Like it.
While filming the interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, meeting him was insane.
Yeah, that is. So sometimes when we pitch a video to someone, you have to ask, you have to show some like some of the work that we've done in the past, and it's like, this is the kind of thing that we like to do here at Eurogamer. I love being able to include, just this, we met this fella from Nintendo, and he was like showing us how he made a level or something. I love doing that so much, and that's, I'm going to be cashing in on that for years to come.
It was, it was lovely. He's a really lovely, like down-to-earth man, but also like his enthusiasm, even like, was it 30 years on from creating World 1 Level 1? Like the way he was talking about it, like even though obviously I don't speak Japanese and I was having to wait for the translation, but when he was like talking about the jumping animation, he had the amiibo and was demonstrating that. Just the manner of this man like made me well up a little bit, because like, I don't know, like I've always dreamed of meeting him. He's a childhood hero.
Yeah, it was a relief for me, because I was worried. Like I've always enjoyed, as most people do, hearing Miyamoto talk. He's great on Nintendo Direct. Whenever he talks to the Nintendo audience, you do get a sense of enthusiasm. I was worried that we'd meet him in person, that wouldn't be there. It was a good bit of 2015 that I liked.
It was lovely. What's your second?
Okay, this one was quite a recent one, but Hands On with XCOM 2 was a real highlight. Probably won't surprise a lot of people that know the kind of games that I like. But yeah, it's looking to be a really good sequel. I was disappointed, obviously, that it wasn't actually released at the end of 2015.
Yes.
It's been pushed to February, but from what I've seen of it, they've been doing a pretty good job, and I'm very excited for the start of next year now as a result. I won't go too much into detail on that one, because we literally gushed about it last week.
Yeah, we put 2 hours of footage on the channel, so
we've
covered that one off quite well.
Sorry about
But
that.
I think my next one would be that I got properly stuck in with some like really long games, like big games. This year was big for open world stuff.
Yep.
So I played a lot of The Witcher 3. I really threw myself into that, and I played a lot of Elite Dangerous. I keep coming back to that in fits and starts. At the minute, I'm really embedded in like Vermintide, and I don't know. This year, unlike the last like 2, I've managed to make quite a lot of time for playing video games, and that is nice. It's nice to be embedded in something.
Yeah, there's some real big, impressive worlds to fall into there as well. Yeah, I actually am a little bit frustrated on the flip side that I haven't been able to do as many of those big games as I would have liked. But yeah, I think if you got the time, it was a hell of a year for open world games.
Yeah, big time.
It was just a good year for good video games. It's been pretty decent, 2015. Which moves on to something from early in the year for me, which was, I'm really happy to see how successful City Skylines was. That was back in March, and it was from a studio that I wasn't familiar with, Colossal Order. They'd done some kind of city building type stuff before, but not games that I'd played. And then suddenly this game comes out of nowhere, goes up against SimCity, a game that had unfortunately disappointed a lot of people for just making some mistakes more than anything. There's a good game there, but it's trapped under it was originally trapped under this always online nonsense. Had some early issues as it launched, and restricted building spaces and everything.
Yep.
City Skylines came along, was yeah, we've basically done a very similar game but without any of those problems. We're a tiny studio from Finland, and we've sold 1 million copies already, and there's clearly room for this. I love it was a real nice success story, seeing an independent studio go up against Maxis, who had dominated the kind of city building genre for so long, and they did it better, and
I think it
we're rewarded for it.
It just shows the potency of having the right approach. I mean, you talked to them at Gamescom, I seem to remember.
Yeah, that's right.
And
yep.
That was when they talked about DLC, and just their approach to that is really nice as well. They're not trying to scalp people.
No.
It feels like
they did one kind of big expansion this year, After Dark, which seems to have gone down pretty well. I haven't actually managed to find as much time as I would have liked for that. But the impressive thing that they did there was that instead of selling individual buildings or little packs of extra stuff, they let the modding community go wild with it, and yeah, that is actually probably the biggest reason for its success.
My third one would be becoming really obsessed with Life is Strange. That whole game kind of came out of nowhere as a surprise, in that it was kind of tweeny almost at the beginning, and then it went to places no one really expected. But just getting really stuck into the community and waiting for the next episode, talking about all these theories, and then the reaction when each episode came out, it really proved to me what the episodic format can do for a game, which I really liked.
I genuinely think that is a strength of it as well. The being able to discuss and speculate between episodes is why a lot of people enjoy episodic TV shows, for that exact reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Life is Strange. I can't believe that's another surprise. Don't Nod had done Remember Me before then, a game that was, had some interesting ideas, but didn't, most people didn't really strike a chord with it. And then Life is Strange came out of nowhere for me, and then seemed to, how do you make a game about a girl that's going to photography class with her friends and listening to music and having teenage problems, and actually make something that two guys in their late 20s can sit here and talk about and think is a cool time.
Yeah, I don't know, it's really interesting, just their whole approach. They went for something, and it's not for everyone, because the dialogue can be really annoying, and I know it put Ian off, for instance, but if you can get past that, there's just so much there, and it's weirdly accessible to people of all ages. It's a remarkable game, and I think the episodic format helped them because they were able to learn from, not their mistakes necessarily, but they were able to incorporate feedback going on, and I think in some ways the fans shaped I was going to say the show, but it is kind of a show. They shaped the game as it came out, which was just really, really nice, and just an interesting way of playing things.
Cool. My fourth highlight of the year, in no particular order, was attending BlizzCon. It was my first time going to that show, and it's really different to anything else. I mean, I've done things like E3 and Gamescom before, which are interesting and full of spectacle, as we talked about earlier, and fun to be part of for different reasons. But BlizzCon had such a friendly atmosphere to it that I've never seen at shows like that. There was, during the opening ceremony, Mike Morhaime was on stage in his nice Blizzard shirt.
His bowling shirt.
Yeah, and was talking about people have played these games and met each other through it, and met their significant others through it, and you saw that every day. There were just, I met a bunch of people that had gone there to see their guildmates and just hang out with people that they spend their time with online, and it was just nice to be around.
Yeah, I think I got a sense of that weirdly, even though I was in the office in Brighton capturing stuff off the stream so we could put the opening ceremony up on the channel. But you do get a funny sense, even as somebody who's never really played Blizzard games. Hearthstone's the only one I've played, and I only played that for a bit. you get a tremendous sense of community around Blizzard. I think they do a very, very good job of fostering kind of just fan loyalty.
I remember a Q&A during one of the Overwatch panels where someone stood up and said, I don't really think of myself as a gamer, but I see myself as a Blizzard fan. Like that's how deep it goes.
Nice.
I'm not sure I'm quite there, but yeah, it was just really encouraging. It sometimes when you know, it's been a good year for games, but when you work on the internet all the time, you see a lot of bullshit as well as all the cool things that video games can do. It's nice to go and just be around people that like playing games and each other.
Yeah, that's fair.
So BlizzCon was good. Thumbs up.
Going into, I'm really worried now that my last two are just really like touchy-feely and just like they're about emotions.
That's
and not
fine.
about like
Emotions are great.
BlizzCon, but
BlizzCon is all about emotions.
Oh yeah, that's not what I mean.
Okay, sorry, carry on.
My fourth one is meeting David Halsden, who did the soundtrack for Thomas Was Alone and Volume, and telling him that I had used the score for Thomas Was Alone to soundtrack like loads of hours of tabletop role-playing games, including like the end of this campaign that ran for 3 years with a bunch of my mates, and like the characters we played became like family, and there were tears around the table as it was all coming to an end. And we used the Thomas Was Alone soundtrack, and it seemed to actually strike a chord with him, no pun intended. He seemed like genuinely touched that it had been incorporated into something that meant so much to me. And just tabletop games in general this year have been really, really good, and I haven't worked out a way to cover them more while also, you know, making it relevant to our audience.
Sure. Well, on the other side of that, I think it's cool to actually see the people that make the music for video games. There are a few high-profile examples out there, but like game development in general can be something of a mystery. I was talking about this recently with someone, and like we often see games as like, right, there's a trailer when it's announced, there's like a preview at some point, the game gets released, maybe it has some issues on release day, the review scores, and then you hear the sales. And like in our minds, sometimes that's what games are, but they're actually all these people going through this crazy period of their lives to actually launch a game. And the people that make the music, and video games have such cool music, are like an essential part of that we don't really talk about as much as we probably should.
It was really interesting talking to David Halsden about that, actually, about, you know, how he's worked on a lot of projects, and the worst ones, they get you on at the last minute, and he feels, you know, he was lucky with Thomas Was Alone to be able to help shape the game in a little way with his music. The whole interview's up on the channel. I'll put it in the end board.
Everyone knows, like everyone that's played Thomas Was Alone knows Mike Biffle is the creator of it, but I didn't know David Halsden. I didn't know that name, which is a problem. I think maybe we should try and address that at some point and try and think about it more. But yeah, going on from that, I guess my final point, this is really like a personal one, but my first month at Eurogamer was actually really, really great. Like I started in February, and I think like the week after I started, Eurogamer dropped its review scores in a change that I was really happy about. The discussion around the office was like, really, like I was encouraged to find out that I was going to be working with some smart people that cared about that decision. And yeah, seeing the reaction to it online was really positive. And then slightly later on in the month, I think, Wes wrote that amazing piece about meeting the god that Molyneux forgot, which is the guy that won the Curiosity competition, I guess you can call it, and then hasn't really seen the benefit of that yet. And it was just an incredible first month at a games website to like be in the middle of all that. So yeah, that was soppy. Talk about emotions. Whoa, well, there you are.
It's funny you should say that, because the last one on my list
oh god, if it's something like Team or something.
It's joining Eurogamer.
Oh no, we're rubbish.
Well, I don't know. I've wanted to work for this site for years and years and years, and then getting to do it, and getting an email on my first day from Christian Donlan, who's been like my games industry hero for years, saying he was excited I was on board. That was really nice, and it's been nice making videos for everyone who's been watching, and yeah, it's been one of the best years. It's probably been the best year of my career so far, which is nice. And you guys have been a part of it. So
okay, that's cool. That's a nice place to leave 2015. What positivity.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next year. So thanks to everyone who watched the Eurogamer Show over 2015.
Yep.
We'll be back in a few weeks. There'll be other stuff going on the channel, but have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks for liking and subscribing. And yeah, take care of yourselves.
Wait.
I think I've got quite a unique relationship with Mike, and I'm fully aware of how fortunate I am to be able to work with someone who is gives me so much creative freedom and trusts me to just kind of leave me to it and know that I'll deliver the goods for him. I suppose I maybe earned that trust with our work together on Torrance Was Alone, but I don't take it for granted at all.